Well, I remember flagging that out on my, Facebook account, and of course, Managan also did a fact check. Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
So, in one sense, ask yourself, why did they say that? In another sense, I thought they were also wanted to play with the minds of probably the world body over there and maybe rest of humanity, so that they said jailed, and so that in their minds maybe they take jail to be somebody arrested, prosecuted in a normal way, lawfully arrested, prosecuted, and
3 years jail was even sent to
yeah.
too.
So when you look at international human rights organizations like Amnesty International, but even the UN Human Rights Body, High Commission for Human Rights, and so on, they define a political prisoner, someone who has been detained merely for exercising his or her political rights. So that in the case of what happened to Dr. Ismail Cisse in 2018, or Momodou Sabali or Baye Sonko, they were political prisoners. So you don't have to be taken to court. It's just a mere fact of being detained, at the shortest possible time, or within the shortest possible time, just for merely expressing or exercising your political rights. So that there are prisoners of conscience as well. People who are journalists or activists or others who, in pursuit of human rights, in promoting human rights or doing their job as political prisoners, being detained, all right, put in custody for any length of time, just purely because of the work they do. They are called prisoners of conscience. I mean, this is how, in fact, Amnesty International emerged as a human rights, but it started as a prisoner of conscience organization seeking to free prisoners of conscience and therefore protect, and they could be lawyers, they could be people who are not politicians. Political prisoners may refer to largely politicians. And we've had famous prisoners of conscience and political prisoners. Nelson Mandela was a prisoner of conscience, for example. Aung San Suu Kyi in Burma was a prisoner of political prisoner, but also considered a prisoner of conscience, given her academician stature and so on. So we have a lot of political prisoners and prisoners of conscience in this country from 2017 to date. All right, and we've got a lot of political opponents, journalists, human rights defenders, and many ordinary citizens being persecuted for their political views, for their political participation. I mean, you just mentioned 3 years Jotna, for example. What Musa Sharif and Momodou Justice Jabo are facing right now is persecution. All right, and so I think that was a misinformation or a disinformation that the president was perpetuating, in front of the global, world body, and it is really concerning. Because who are you competing with? Who are you fighting for? So that, Mr. Dabo mentioned why we have this partisanship and all of that. Yeah. And as he was talking, I was trying to really reflect. And truly, there is a lot of partisanship here. It is. But then one needs to ask the question, really, if you are elected president, do you sit down to try to understand what is the meaning of being elected president? What is the meaning of holding the position of the president? What do you understand that to mean? So that you begin to determine how you should conduct yourself, how you should lead, and what all these issues mean that are circulating around you. Because we've had presidents who have been directly insulted, and they said no. John Atta Mills in Ghana was directly insulted by an opposition person. The police arrested him, he told them to leave him. That comes with the job. Obama was speaking in the State of the Nation Union address in the US. A congressman got up and said, "You lie." I mean, he didn't cringe or do anything. He continued with his speech, and he didn't ever come back to even talk about that. Instead, that person it's the Republican Party members themselves who came to rebuke the guy. So that, you know, there's a level of wisdom you have, there's a level of maturity you have as a leader, that you come to realize this is too low for me. Yes, and at the end of the day, what I'm seeking to achieve, you know, it is not merely for the citizens alone, but you know, it is for myself. It's for some higher ideals that I stand for. So we need to question our leaders, whether it's the president or political party leaders, you know, but leaders across, religious leaders, traditional leaders. How do you understand the leadership position that you hold, so that you demonstrate attitudes, behaviors, you know, and you know, actions, decisions that you know reflect that indeed you understand what is leadership, what is to be out of the lot to be put in front of your people. For people, 2 million Gambians, you are picked to be their leader, and not that they even went to beg you in your house, come and lead us. You yourself got up to go and seek their mandate, and you convince them to vote for you. So, you know, does that make you humble? Does that make you realize you owe them a gratitude, you owe them honesty, you owe them your best, that even your best is not enough. Even if you do your best, it is still not enough to repay them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So these are issues we need to discuss, because imagine bringing ridicule to your country, and you are not just some ordinary guy selling, you know, granite at the street corner. You are the president. Look at what is happening these past few days. Everybody, international news, international statements from everywhere, and you know, and I also made the point. Look, African leaders, African governments, why do you discredit us? Why do you ridicule us? That Africa is a basket case. In Africa, you know, you mention the name of the president, you can be jailed for it. You know, yeah. I mean, and you know, you're going to other democracies. I mean, nobody, I don't know, is insulting Keir Starmer, or you know, or they're insulting Keir Starmer. But he's still there. He's not like going after anyone, so to speak. And so that these democracies, even if you don't, I mean, I'm not a fan of the West or America, or so to speak, but you are bound to admire the leadership that they provide for their people, and for which we have, I mean, and I read, I think it's Mayor Talib Bensouda, you know, and I read his statement, and it is deep.
It's deep.
It's deep.
Very
like,
deep.
You know, what should be concerning the president? If, you know, Barrow should have been saying, these people, I don't have the time. Let them say anything. I'm dealing with the back way. I'm dealing with, you know, these roads. I'm dealing with electricity. You know, I mean, I'm going to pick up lawyers to go after government contracts that, you know, were given wrongly. Government people who are stealing Gambian people's money. I'm going to take lawyers to go after them. I'm going to tell my Attorney General, go and prosecute those people mentioned in the Attorney General's report. I mean, this is what concerns me. This is what you think the president will be thinking about. I mean, but you want to hold a whole nation at ransom for something that, at the end of the day, you have a right to suggest anybody to be your successor. Yes, and interestingly, the successor himself, or the so-called successor, or the potential successor, did not complain.
No.
Why are you complaining? You know, so I think you know, when he talks about this partisanship, I said yes, we will be parties. You know, because that's also the nature of democracy. We will belong to different parties, but even outside of culturally, religiously, we belong to different parties. But is that a basis for intolerance, for hatred, for abuse, you know, and so on? And you know, it's mind-boggling, you know.